final curly question is when Hume, another famous dictum of Hume's, that the wise man proportions his belief to the evidence, and this is part of his argument against miracles and against supernaturalism more broadly. He says, only a counter-experience more persuasive than miracles, than our experience, could convince us of miracles. And he also says that, look, people believe the miracle claims in their own tradition, but they don't believe in miracle claims in other people's tradition. So in other words, it's epistemically reckless to believe in miracles. And if you believe in your own, why don't you believe in others?
Yeah. There's several strands there to Hume's argument. The first is really a kind of a in principle argument against miracles. And there's two components to that. First is this dictum that a wise man proportions his belief to the evidence. In other words, you should always follow the weight of evidence. You should always believe whatever has a preponderance of evidence. So you weigh up the evidence for something and against something, and your belief should track that evidential weight. That's the first component. And the second component is his argument that in the case of a miracle, whatever evidence you might have for a miracle based on human testimony, that's always going to be outweighed by the ordinary, regular, cumulative experience of the laws of nature or unexceptional events, because a miracle is by definition, as he defines it, a violation of a law of nature, an exception to a law of nature. But our personal experience is entirely that of regularity, of no exception to the law of nature, and that will always, really, in principle, outweigh any possible evidence that there could be for miracles. So, in a sense, he says you can just rule out miracles in advance. He isn't quite so bold about it, but in effect, what he's saying is that no evidence in principle could justify belief in a miracle. But then he moves on in the second part of this chapter of miracles to sort of pile on some additional arguments to do with the credulity of ancient people and dueling miracles. So Christians believe the miracles in their tradition, and Muslims have Muhammad's supposed miracles, and Hindus have theirs. And so I guess what he's arguing there is that everybody has double standards. They apply double standards. They accept the miracles that support their tradition, and they reject the miracles that don't. There's a lot to be said in response to that. I think the first argument, the in-principle argument, is just simply question begging. I mean, it rules out miracles in advance, and it's simply implausible to say that there can never be enough evidence to justify a miracle, no matter how much evidence there might be. And in fact, his argument commits some basic blunders in probability theory, which I won't try our viewers' patience by getting into that, but it's explained as clearly as I can in the book. So he's not even applying probability theory correctly when he makes that argument. But then these supplementary arguments about miracles and other traditions and so forth. I think a Christian actually can say, well, Hume's onto something. There is something in human nature, confirmation bias. It's pretty well documented that we want to believe the things that confirm our position, and we want to reject the things that don't seem consonant with it. But we can take everything on a case-by-case basis. There are many miracles that are claimed to be part of the Christian tradition that we might end up rejecting, even though in principle they might support our position. The evidence actually isn't good enough. There are various claims of miracles today that are in response to prayer. Some of them maybe we ought to believe, others we ought to be skeptical about, as long as we're applying consistent standards of evaluating evidence. And as for miracles in response to other religious traditions, well, within a Christian worldview, we don't rule out the possibility of ungodly miracles, of demonic influences and so forth. Maybe we just have to withhold judgment, and maybe we have to just suspend conclusions in these cases. Maybe the evidence can be interpreted one way or another. But we don't have to be guilty of applying double standards. We just have to be discerning in the way that we approach evidence, and everybody interprets evidence in terms of their presuppositions anyway. That's true of Christians, that's true of Muslims, that's true of skeptics like Hume. In fact, it's particularly true of skeptics like Hume. He has an incredible philosophical bias against Christian claims. So, everybody's going to interpret evidences in terms of their presuppositions, which means that we probably need to focus more attention on our presuppositions.